Hello there, Big Benedict here. We're playing God of War 2018 on Give Me God of War difficulty, and this is my guide and walkthrough. We're currently on part 10, and the first thing that we're going to be doing is taking the severed head over to Freya so that she can reanimate him for us. However, once you get back into the witch's cave and you try to go through the door at the back, you're going to find that there is no bridge to go over there. So we're going to have to climb the well, which is over here. And after we do this fight over here, we're going to move around the area, just get some hack silver, and then progress. There is possibly a realm tear outside of her house. I'm not sure if you have to do a fight over there to get the object, but you want to check out the area over there. And I'm sure that once you activate it, you'll get a checkpoint too, so that's always good. I've actually been doing a couple side quests on this game. I did Fafner's storeroom. I did the hunt for the alchemist for Brock, and just several side quests. And I've also got to one area where there's a chained up dragon, so I noticed one of the trophies said free all of the dragons, but I got stuck over there because of a very difficult opponent who's very high leveled, and he's called a traveler, and it's hardly any room to fight too, so I'm gonna have to come back there when I am more capable of what I'm doing. And I do intend to go get the trophies for this game because I find that I've been doing that in the past, so I wanted to get my trophies. I really don't care, but it gives me something to do after everything's finished. Anyway, we're going to be breaking a few seals to get the mead, horn of blood mead, out of this chest. The last one is where? Should be behind us. I can turn the fan down as well too. Let me see. Let's just turn it down a notch. And I found that the side quests, they weren't grueling or anything like that, and I would recommend that you do them if you want to get more experience with the game, get more equipment, get some more crafting materials and some good resources that will aid you. And there is in the last video also, there's one move that I bought that I've definitely regretted buying. It's a barehanded move, and it's a higher level move, and what it is aiming plus square, and what it does is it instantly recalls the axe, and at the same time he does a little cyclone of chaos sort of a move with the axe, and it's just I can't count the number of times it's been getting in my way, so definitely don't get that if you can help it. It's so silly that you can't either unbuy or unequip a move that you've bought. There's literally no excuse for it. None. How many times in these games it's so common to regret purchases, but anyway, now that we've got some blood mead, we're going to come over here, and I'll show you where the well is. It's right where the first fight was. So just climb up here, and then before you can gain access to her house, you're going to have to do a fight. And I've also been getting some, since I've been doing the side quests, I've picked up a few extra talismans and some new runic attacks. I have fully upgraded Tyr's Revenge, and I don't know what I have equipped now, but I know at this point in the game I don't have that upgraded all the way, so I'm not really sure what I've got. You definitely want to be on the lookout for the rarer equipment pieces, because if you didn't know, the pieces of armor, they have enhancement sockets on them, and you can equip enhancements that will, increase or decrease, as the case may be, certain statistics, and give you extra enhanced abilities, passive abilities behind the scenes for your character. The distortion in the air over here where the tear is, and it could just be an item. I've seen some players just pull items out of these tears without having to do a fight. I've always been put into a position where I've had to do the fight, but I really remember when I said I didn't like this game earlier. That's gone. I really do like this game. It's not what I wanted, but I'm happy with what it turned out to be. I like how it's not overly encumbered with loot, because one of the reasons that I ended up hating Neo was that it was just too convoluted with the loot, and it just got to the point where enough with the loot. I don't care anymore. This game at least has some temperance in that regard, so I do like that. And I like that they still have managed to capture a certain, even though it has a lot of influences by Dark Souls, it's very much not Dark Souls. And I like Dark Souls sometimes, but most of the time I've never been able to just jump into a Dark Souls game the way I have with these games. Something about the Dark Souls games, I'm not very adroit with being able to do it. So I've always felt I was all thumbs with that game. So, but I like it on occasion. Now what we're going to be doing is taking the trek over here to the land of the Wolvers over here. And by this time, I've done several of the side quests as well. And, you know what we're doing now? We're going to wind a horn. You often hear me say that. It's a reference to the last line in Stephen King's The Gunslinger. What in the hell does it mean? This dude keeps saying he's going to wind his fucking horn? What the fuck does that mean? Well, all it means is that you're breathing air into some sort of an instrument that can make noise. That's what it means. And we've just done that. We've just winded a horn. So that's what it means. Now, I translate it to enemies bearing down on me when I play. And whenever you hear me say, when these guys are winding their goddamned horns, it just means they're coming down and they're bearing in on me. Why did I connect those two? A line of text and a video game, analogy. I really don't know, but I think it's funny. And these days, I try to get all the laughs I can because I'm just I'm enmeshed in anxiety, and it's causing a lot of anxiety related depression, where otherwise I wouldn't have any depression, because my depression is pretty held at bay. But sometimes when you get to the point of being overwhelmed so much, you just kind of break and fall apart. So that's when it's just too much. So it's too much. So and it's still taking me a long time to piss sometimes. Remember, I started to take that medication, and sometimes it does. There's no. And what I'm talking about too is the startup time to urinate. Remember, I said it was taking me like 45 minutes. I also went over there to the right and did a fight. There's a realm tear over there, and there's a dragon chained up. No, but sometimes it still takes like 10 to 15 minutes to start up a stream, and it's very, very frustrating, And so I really don't. I have no idea. I keep trying to call the doctor. I don't get any return calls. We have a fight over here too. So we do have to open the the bridge, and to do that we have to turn this wheel. And this installment should be a little bit a longer one. Now, a couple of amulets that I've got that pretty rare amulet that creates a barrier around you that gives you a protective barrier, and it also enables your attacks to not be gone through. But you take damage, I think, if you're outside of the ring, and the ring does dissipate. However, the only real charm of that move for me, the only appeal, is that I don't care about the defense perk. I do like the fact that it has 2 enhancement sockets, but one of the really good talismans is the one that instantly cools down weapons for you, and then the amulet has to cool down, of course, too. But it's a really good amulet, so I would say look into that. I'm not sure where I got it, so you'll have to check on that. But I like that. I like having weapons moves cool down instantly. Look at that. That is a classic example of vegetation. Is that called vegetation? Foliage, trees, plants obstructing my vision. It's been a long-standing leitmotif of this channel, my vision being obstructed. So I would look into getting the Rage amulet. And I think at this point I've got my strength up to 100, and I've got the runic. I can't remember. I know I just did some alterations. I got the cooldown. I finally did a little bit up to the cooldown. I got the cooldown to like 6 or 7. It's been 2 the entire game, so I finally got that up. It might even be just 5, but at least I got it up. All right, so I did lose my train of thought, so I had to stop the recorder and then come back on. But we are going to be facing a couple of new enemies up here. In fact, no, just the one new enemy coming up over here, and yeah. So everybody who always wishes me well, and I never feel encumbered in talking about my issues on my channel, because there's never anybody that comes around and says, that they're delighted that I'm sick and I'm hurting, that I'm having issues and things like that. It's always people, who wish me well, and I can't believe how many folks there are that don't even know me in person that wish me well, and it just means a lot. And it's really easy to say anything means a lot, but it just does. So I wanted to thank you guys. So hopefully I can get my my pissing situation resolved. And I know pissing is kind of vulgar, but I like to say it. Anyway, we're going to be heading right over here, and what I'm trying to do is, with my pissing situation, it was up to like 45 minutes, and then it was working pretty well, like within a minute. But now sometimes it's like up to 10, so 10, 15 minutes. It's kind of difficult, when you have to really piss. But who needs to piss? I could just hold it in forever, I guess, right? Pissing's overrated anyway, I've always felt. I've been pissing away my fucking life away. A new area discovered over here, and we're going to be facing a Wolver. Now, I am going to do this fight no damage, but these guys are kind of tricky to no damage because their moves and the way they telegraph them, it's more the sort of thing you might feel in like Dark Souls 3 with these guys' parries, because the parries in Dark Souls 3, they always felt a little unnatural to me. Like with this enemy, it does a slash, and you don't parry it at the normal time that you've been parrying before with enemies like this. You have to wait a moment, and I think it might have to do with the way that they bring their hand up to hit you, or bring it to the side to swipe at you. It's a little bit ambiguous about when you're supposed to hit, but try fighting those guys a few times, and you will feel the rhythm of how they work exactly. But I have found out that move that I wanted to warn people about. The one that I said that you might not want to buy. It's called the Returning Whirlwind, and while barehanded, run and press. Excuse me. While barehanded, aim and press square to instantly recall the Leviathan axe and perform a powerful spinning attack. Powerful is subjective. I don't think it's powerful. It requires a certain amount of vitality at 200, according to what this says. But if you, I don't know. Anytime you see me use this move, the Returning Whirlwind, it's not intentionally. So that's a bad thing. That's really bad. But anyway, just come on down here now, and I have made some upgrades to the talismans too as well. In fact, the rarest one that I have in my arsenal right now is the Aegis's Protection. It's the yellow one, and the Aegis's Protection is same input. Creates a small defensive zone that prevents Kratos' attacks from being interrupted and reduces the amount of damage he takes. When upgraded, it restores a small amount of health as well. Those types of things right there. I think I even equipped this over here. But the Talisman of Unbound Potential is one that I just upgraded a little bit. I think I have it one level to go with that, and that is the one that gives cooldown to all of your moves in want of cooldowns. I love this area over here. It's really interesting. You've got a Wolver over here, and one of the best ways to deal with these enemies is to use the shock arrows of Atreus to stun them, and you can pretty much keep them stunned the entire time you're fighting them. And what's normally going to happen is you'll have one Wolver come, and then you'll have another one that comes about 3/4 of the way when the first one's dead. But other than that, the Talisman of Concentrated Vitality, that helps you get some health back. The Talisman of Resolute Protection is another good one. I like that one. That should be the one that does the stun. And then we also have the Talisman of Rejuvenating Fury and the Talisman of Eternal Fury. The latter one is the one that gives you a Rage Burst. And if I have it correctly in my mind about how these upgrades work for the Rage in particular, because the Rage is one of my favorites to use. It gives you more Rage back passively, and when you use the Rage Burst, you get more back. So now what we're going to be doing is the tasks over here. The first task is to throw a Shatter Crystal up there, fire at it, and then we're going to be able to read the tableau over there, if tableau is the right word, and I don't think that it is the right word. I think I'm wrong. I also wanted to, I wanted to make sure that I got that, the Talisman of Unbound Potential. I wanted to make sure I upgraded that to decrease its cooldown time too, because when you first get it and start using it, rare wrist armor. I think I did equip that as well. So these over here, this one is going to be the R, like upside down, and then the second one over here is going to be, I think it's going to be like a little wavy line. It's either going to be with the points up or down. I'm not sure. Yeah, down. So what you're doing with these symbols, oh no, I guess we had it wrong. Okay, so it needs to be like a pointed E. There. Okay, so each time you get a correct symbol, the matching symbol on the wall over there will go away. And then to get the final one, you need to pick up another Shatter Crystal. And I love how there is no stamina in this game. And I love how you don't run in spurts. You remember Lords of Shadow? And I think in Lords of Shadow 2 they did the same thing where you would double tap up on the left analog stick, and then you would only run in a short amount, and then you would have you will have reached a stamina crescendo, and then you stop, and then you've got to keep pressing up twice again. You keep got to flicking it up. It was obnoxious. But this game, even though it looks like he's got a shit in his pants, a big Kratos green shit. Jesus Christ. There's no stamina though, you know? Green shit aside, diarrhea, whatever aside, whatever it is. There's no stamina and he doesn't stop, and there's no spurts. What do we have there? Oh, that's a good one. I'm going to equip this to increase my axe throw damage because I do have to axe a couple of these nightmares. A question over here. Do you know what was kind of insulting once? I was in this business English class and there was a black student giving a speech. We all had to do our speeches, and then the black student met with the teacher, because that's what we all did. We met with a teacher. Actually, I don't know if we all met with our teacher to confer about what we did, and she would give us, input if we needed it. I don't think I talked to her about my speech, and I don't think the majority of the students in there talked about the speech, but it was a young black girl. She was really nice. I wasn't really her friend, but I knew her by acquaintance, and like she pronounced the word ask as axe, and she did that during her speech, and then when afterwards she conferred with the teacher about the speech, and the teacher suggested that the teacher said this. She said to this poor black girl, and just remember, when you're out there in the real world, it's ask, not axe. And I'm just like, dude, that's fucking rude. What if she can't pronounce it that way? That's fucking rude, man. Don't you think that's rude? I mean, what if you couldn't say something, a certain way, and you were trying to say something in a certain way, and your tongue couldn't say it. I've had a cousin who had like a cleft tongue, and they never got it clipped. So I don't know why they didn't want to, but it doesn't sound particularly painless. But yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, who the hell are you to say that, you fucking bitch, you goddamn cunt? Truly. Anyway, we've got some speed joggers over here and a heavy fire jogger. And what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to use my two runic attacks. I'm going to use my Unbounded Fury runic to talisman, to cool down the two runics so that I can use the runics twice. This is a great fight over here. And I love the fact that there's no checkpoint, because sometimes they really coddle you with checkpoints, but not this fight over here. Now, there's going to be one jogger jumping down over here at first, and then an ogre. Now this ogre here, he is not weak to the Rage's boulder throws. I noticed that it was the other ogre. That's cool. Did you see what happened? I'm pretty sure the ogre did a shockwave, slammed the jogger into the wall, and the jogger got stunned. Now see this one, this gray ogre. This guy is weak to the boulder. So if you try to do this, holy shit, yeah, and it's probably a level issue. I'm not sure what the other ogre was, what his level was, the guy with red, but yeah, and I'm not sure if it's level related, but that's usually what it is. Yeah, this is yet again just another one of those honest to goodness fights that I just wish we could see more of. And now I've got I've decided to not use the Tears Revenge anymore. I've used it. I know we picked it up after we got the dragon, or was it a little bit before? And I've just not really taken a liking to Tears Revenge, and I think it has the highest damage output that any of my other ones have. But if I need it for damage, something specific, but it's just I'm not sure about it, man. I've been kind of getting annoyed by it. It's kind of like the Ripper and Deadsaw, but just icy. So But, you know, there's plenty of great runic attacks. And the thing is, the Tears of Revenge is so strong that it's strange that it's a light runic attack. You know, it seems like it should be a heavy one that it deals so much damage, but... and you might have noticed that I did take no damage in the first segment of it. Took no damage, and then on this fight I took damage. It's really difficult to get away from these guys' shockwaves when they slam their arms down on the ground. Look at this! Fuck yeah! That's what I've always wanted to do in these games. Parry back someone who's being flung at me. I was hoping, and I just... when he did it, I'm like, this better goddamn fucking work. And then when it worked, I'm like, fuck yeah, man. Fuck yeah! Parrying back a son of a bitch what was flung at me. That. You know the problem with that? I was just going to talk about that too. The problem is you can't sprint unless you're going straight. So if you're backing up or going to the side, you can't sprint. So it leads to these... yeah, this guy's level 4. That's probably the reason that he's got durability to those boulders. And... yeah, you've just got to be careful, because if you're trying to evade this guy, you'll always want to be conscious of what sort of a route you're going to need to get to one side of him, and make sure you've got enough clearance on one side or the other of him. You know, safety. You have enough safety. You got enough safety for yourself, huh, Papa John? Doing some smashing, Papa John. Doing some smashing and bashing. Filled up with that pizza. Got some fucking energy and strength, huh, Pop? Huh, Papa fucking John? Jesus. I like this game. I'm starting to like this game. Alright, I think we're about ready to head out of this area. And aren't we done? Are we done yet? Yeah, we're going to be facing one of the travelers coming up. I've already faced a traveler on one of the side missions. So the encounter with the traveler over here, I know that it's a first for anyone playing the game that hasn't done the side missions. But since I've already done one of the side missions that had a traveler in it, I wasn't surprised by what he was. However, the one that you fight normally going through the campaign, the first one that you encounter over here in the dining hall, he is nowhere near as hard as the ones that you face in the side missions. Because side missions are meant to be more difficult. They're not meant to fall within any sort of standard protocol for what your life should be, because, you know, it's optional, and if you want to do it, you can. So it's not tailored to any sort of upgrade path that the game makers would expect you to be at certain times during the game. But the one down here is still hard, and he's hard because he's a difficult enemy to get familiar with, and he's also hard because he has backup. Now, the majority of the time that you are dealing with this guy, what he does is, I think the term is turtle, where he kind of he hunches over and keeps his shield at you the entire time, and gives you, well, not the entire time, but most of the time, and he gives you these opportunities to hit him only in the transient times when he's not shielding like he is. So the traveler, it can be, in fact, I don't remember when I ever faced a traveler, but I know it was on a side mission. So the traveler is going to be blocking the majority of the time. So what you have to do is come up to him and bait him into attacking and see what he's going to do. If he does something that flashes red, obviously that cannot be blocked. And I think that there should be something that you can acquire in this game. And if there is, I apologize. However, even though I've gone through this game, I don't, it's Souls-esque, so there might be something hidden somewhere that, that I haven't found yet. But I really wish like in Dante's Inferno, there was something that you could equip that would allow you to block previously unblockable attacks. And it shouldn't be something that you get in the game until later. However, I've never come across anything like that yet. I also don't have the runic that allows you to slow down time. I just haven't come across everything. But this guy over here, he does have attacks that glow that yellow color and that can be blocked at the last moment to be parried. He guard broke me right there. But he has both standard horizontal swings. He's got a chop that is his vertical unblockable attack, if I'm not mistaken. When he's about to get killed, he does lose the bulk of his armor, and then you can... Oh, there he goes. He does a jab at you like that, and it's a quick attack. But what you don't want to do is be too smash happy when he's turtling like that. And with these attacks too, they're going to give you the opportunity to parry at first. But if you notice, if you don't hit the parry, he's going to do more horizontal swings that will just cut through you, and you can't parry them at that point. I don't even think they will block normally. So the bottom line is, if you're struggling with this dude, is you just want to go up to him, and if he's turtling, just wait until he attacks. And if he attacks with something that you notice is parryable, just parry through it. You'll riposte with iframes, and then just keep working on him like that. Keep cooling down your runics if you have that particular cooldown. Oh, this treasure over here is something that you'll definitely want to pick up. It's a heavy runic attack that gives you a great amount of frost for your weapon. Gives you a blessing of frost. I don't think it's technically permafrost that you get, but it's something like it, and it's incredibly strong. But that room, having lackeys there is inexcusable. It's just, Oh, you know what happened too? I had my Blessings of the Frost. It's a good heavy runic attack. You know what happened over here? You see where it says Summoner plus 3,500? I was in... Right after I defeated the Traveler and I got my checkpoint, I found that I was one summon away from getting my 3,500. So you know what I did. All I had to do was summon, get my 3,500, reset, summon, get my 3,500, and I did that about 10 times to punish the game and reap the benefits. So I could have done it 100 times if I so wanted to, but I didn't want to. And earlier in the walkthrough, I mentioned somebody having a cleft tongue. I think what I meant was not a cleft tongue, a cleft palate, where there's something underneath the tongue that needs to be clipped to enable the tongue to move more freely. It's a disorder that some people have, and it makes them speak with an impediment. So that's what I meant, but I was just using it as an example of that poor black girl that kind of got dissed by the teacher, even though I took it as more of a diss, I think. Because the teacher said it in a nice way, but it was just, don't tread on that, don't say shit like that, And it's not for being politically correct. I'm not saying it like that either. It's very disrespectful if a person can't talk a certain way. Physiologically they have a problem where they can't pronounce a certain. It's not a problem. It's how other people speak, and if they can't say things in a different way, they shouldn't be judged, and they shouldn't be told that they have to try to say a word a different way. It's just not fair to them. But we are coming up on a section that I had trouble with when I went through this game on the lower difficulty of Give Me a Challenge. And on this difficulty, I didn't have any trouble with it. And that's just what's going to happen when you play a game several times. If you are playing this game to beat this difficulty, for which there should be a trophy and there isn't, sort of like how there was no trophy for Chaos difficulty in God of War 3. And I don't know if I care too much, but I think there should be one. But if you are struggling, this game gives you a lot of ways to get better as you continue to strengthen your character. On a lot of these parts, since I've done a lot of challenge runs in my time, maybe not too many compared to other people who strictly do challenge runs, but for if you look down on my playlist on my channel, I've done a fair amount of challenge runs. The hardest one for God of War was God of War 2, without question. There was 2 or 3 sections on that run. Essentially, I went through the game, and I went through it without upgrading both my health or my magic, and I also didn't upgrade my weapons. And I had a hellacious time trying to do the translator section. And if you watch my video, you'll hear me say that it took me about 92 hours. That was an estimate, but I think it was somewhere around how much it took me. It took me an unfeasible amount of time. And I also a long time ago I went through God of War 3 and did a no upgrade run plus, and then about a couple years later I did a Pain Plus run for God of War 3, but I didn't struggle too much at all on the Pain Plus run because of all of the tribulations that I had gone on the no upgrade run. But that isn't to say I didn't have my share of troubles on the run that I did later on no upgrade on but fumbling is not going to help me get through this part and talk you guys through this, because a section like this is highly doable. But if you were to abstain from upgrading and using the kid over here and using runic attacks, this would just be an utter nightmare. You really wouldn't want to do this unless you had a death wish. I mean, it's very difficult to do something like this, where you're depending on a lot of overpowered moves and things like that to get through it with ease. There are 3 waves over here. First wave is the easiest. I also didn't mention why the Traveler is so deadly. He has an attack that is an instant kill, where he raises his sword and casts out a blue light that can be blocked and needs to be blocked, and if it isn't, you get instantly killed by it. You can attack him while he's doing it and hit his sword. He'll drop his sword and he won't continue the move. So he didn't. I don't think he did it on that fight that I had with him there. But something to note if he's doing that to you. And with these shield guys, just double tap the block button to break their guard. It shouldn't even come to that though. You should just be using runic attacks to just go through them. Okay. What we're trying to do is, just like the translator in God of War 2, we're trying to ensure something's integrity over here. And in God of War 2 is the integrity of the translator and his health. In this part, it's the integrity of the platform that we're on, because if it loses all of its energy, we will fall off and fall to our doom. The problem is you've got a couple heavies over here, and I'm taking a couple hits and getting a little perturbed by it, but I always keep thinking to myself, it doesn't matter. Like, who cares? It doesn't matter. Sloppy gameplay is one thing, but if you're just getting hit once or twice here and there, it doesn't fucking matter, Bix. So just stop. It does not matter. But this is the heavy runic attack. See the Blessing of Frost that you get? I think you get about 15 seconds to use this overly frosted weapon, and it deals really good damage. And of course, if you have the blessing of, what's it called, the one that cools down, the one that cools down runics, you can recharge it too. Okay, this is the last wave. There are the poisonous nightmares, and you're gonna see me just getting my ass whooped over here. And I could have restarted this, but I could have restarted it at any time. I don't care if I get knocked down by a nuisance enemy. It just happens, you know. But on these guys, the theme of all of this, if you are having a hard time here, you want to freeze enemies and just use the shield to knock them into the electrical field that surrounds this platform, and to use the runic attacks. That's going to get you out of this the easiest. And there's also a revenant up here that you want to be saving the boy's summons for. The wolves deal more damage, so I would use the wolf on the revenant just to get her out of the way, because she's very difficult. And in fact, she's not out of the way quite yet. She's still around here somewhere, I think. And if she is, a good riddance. My boy's getting grabbed by a nightmare. I need to go save him. I think that's it. Not hard. Now, I wouldn't be saying that if I was doing this on a challenge run with very hard restrictions. Who's to say I would even be able to do it? I don't know. I don't know if you get a checkpoint here either. I do remember getting a checkpoint here, because I think every time he runs to the bowl, you get a checkpoint. But don't take my word on that exactly, because I could be remembering that wrong. Okay, and that's a cleared section. It's probably going to give you a hard time if you've never been there, but I've been here like 3 or 4 times. And just think, if you were doing a challenge run, that's when it would really be hard. This part 2 is almost coming to a conclusion. I decided to end the part at the moment where we defeat the boss. So we are having a boss coming up, and I wanted to say that this is the second time I tried to make this guide. When I originally started it, I had like 5 parts, all of them 30 to 45 minutes, and I can't work like that. I always have to be caught up on my videos, otherwise I just get too frustrated and I don't want to do the project. But this is all being put in fast forward over here. I could have trimmed that part out over there, but it was already in fast forward, so I do apologize about that. But I am on track with all the videos. Like, I can't have as much as, like, if I have more than like 15 or 20 minutes of footage uncommented in the past, I get really anxious about my videos. Like, if I'm on a part and it's already built up to like an hour or 45 minutes, I don't want to sit there for an hour and do it. I like to do commentaries for like 15 or 20 minutes, you know, and then on those hour-long videos, then I can just do 3 sessions of 15 minutes or 3 of 20, something like that, you know. So I always have to be on top of my commentaries, otherwise I have 2 categories. There are guide deletions, where I've publicly listed the videos and people have been aware of the videos, and then there are the video abortions. I'm not talking about DSP's videos, by the way. I'm talking about videos that I have uploaded to my YouTube account as private, but I have deleted because they intended to be for the purposes of a guide. However, I decided not to go through the project, so I metaphorically abort the project, if you could take my meaning. And abortions are actually better, because then you don't have the audience disappointment that you do with the guide deletions. So we've got a boss coming up. This is the I think he's called the, I don't know, his name will come up soon. I think it's actually something that we could pronounce too. So when you come in here, you're going to be rocking this chandelier across the room, and then the part on top that looks like one of those lollipop candies. What are those little ring pops? They look like ring pops. Those are pretty good, actually. But The boss has a couple of lackeys. They're wolves. They spawn. I'm throwing it at the wrong parts. I'm sorry, guys. My bad. My complete bad. Throw it up there. There you go. And then when he comes in here, this is going to be the Stonebread King. I've always wondered. There's so many times in this game where you're fighting ice things, and we're using an ice weapon. So does it really make sense that ice on ice is going to do anything? I don't know. Because when we go to a later section, you're going to have to get a new weapon because the game's going to tell you that it's not going to work there. But here's his first lackey. It's the wolf. And these ones can actually be pinned against the wall and receive good damage unless the wolves were causing all of the damage over there. So this guy over here, he's got the normal taunt that you can take advantage of. He has got the similar sort of kicks downward with his, how would you call that, like his little stomps that he does. He has that slam that he does that cause these crystals to go in front of him and then shatter, and if you're anywhere on top of them, you're going to get probably bounced, definitely damaged. I don't know if you get bounced per se, but you're going to be dealt some damage. But fortunately the lackey count is just 2, and there's decent enough room in here to fight. And with the wolf, you can get these lackeys destroyed real quick. So if you have the cooldown runic, you can use that frost buff a couple of times. And again, I don't know why, frost on frost, it doesn't make sense. It's like heat on heat. But it doesn't matter to me too much. And just in case you're wondering, in case you're laughing, I did pronounce that wrong. I knew he was called the Stonebeard King, but I wanted to call him Bread. Remember a couple of videos back I was telling you guys about if you can ever get your hands on a meal deal, definitely take advantage of it. Don't even think twice. Grab and go. Don't think twice about it. Just grab that meal. Take yourself on a deal and eat up. Go for a meal deal. Definitely, man. Don't even pass up on it. If you're getting a deal on a meal, don't think twice. Just do it. A lot of times you can get free food, but if you can't and you can get a deal on a great meal, or hell, even just a passingly fair meal or a good meal, get and jump on that meal deal. I always do, and I would recommend that you do too. Take care.